Hey everybody, I have a new drum set. Um, it's red. It's like cherry red, 80s style. It's so unbelievably awesome. I'm so stoked about this thing. Um, I discovered um, recently, about maybe, I don't know, I guess just a few weeks. Oh, actually, it was during the holiday break, because I picked this up during the holiday break. That Tama, old school Tama drum sets. This is what this is. The red badges. The beginning of the Swing Star series, Imperial Star series, Royal Star series, that kind of thing. All of those ones, they're the same shells. The hardware is unbelievable. The sounds are unbelievable. They're unbelievable. They are really, when Tama souped up, I guess you could say, really made their drums quality touring instruments. Notably, you see them with the Police, you see them with Synchronicity Tour, you see them with Stuart Copeland, you also see them with Elvin Jones. There was a point when you look at drum history in the 80s, Tama was apparently everywhere because they just came out with these kits. Imperial Star, I think, being like the top of it. But the thing is, the older ones, I mean, the student models, again, my other video about the snare drums, old school student model snare drums are really burning, actually. And I posted up a recent one, the snare drum that goes with this kit. This is a Swing Star, but in 1982 Swing Star Tama kit, and it's awesome. I cannot wait to play it. It came with, hold on, this is gonna make a little bit of noise, but I'm gonna pause this, do this, and then talk again. Be right back. Ta-da! It came with this is probably a good head, a copy imitation head of looks like Remo or Ambassador. It kind of looks, I don't know, I can't judge. Actually the ring looks very Aquarian, but anyway, regulator kind of style, but it's black, and I didn't like the black with the red. I thought it looked really kind of, I don't know, I just didn't dig that look. I guess if I was like in, I don't know, it's not the style I wanted. Anyway, but look at this. This is like, it's in the, I think they call it the, I'm gonna so mess this up. It's called Luco or Ludo or something. There's a sick finish on the inside all the way around this thing. Oh, it's so heavy. That they put on these drums. And why did they do that? They did it, I mean, it kind of looks like marble. It's crazy. They did it to help the drum resist humidity and everything that it would encounter touring. Because these drums were kind of like, the 80s Tamas were advertised as the touring kit. Like, it will be able to handle sun and rain and snow and hot weather and cold weather and everything, and it won't move. It'll be able to, they even say in one of their advertisements, it'll be able to withstand the temperature changes in an airplane under the decompression thing, and it won't move. And I mean, it's just like, this is 1982, and it looks like this thing, like the inside here, it doesn't look like it's moved at all. Like, it's still exactly, you could bluff me and say that it's brand new. It looks like that. So, I mean, it's just amazing. And all of the yellow zinc screws, they all look original. Everything looks original. If it's not original, the guy I bought it from really made it look original. Anyway, but it's the real thing. All the tuning lugs are just in great shape. There's one thing though, I also like this too. These are the tension rods and the T-claws, and they're super heavy. They're super awesome. I mean, even this, you know. See, it's like, I like that squareness. There's something about it. I mean, and it's like serious. These things are not cheap. They're not cheap at all. If you were to, you know, I said in another video, a lot of people talk about the woods, but a lot of the expenses, it's in the hardware of a drum, the metal. And when you get into like replacing tuning lugs and all, it gets up there so fast. $100 to replace the tuning lugs on a snare drum. $100. So that makes easy. I mean, on a bass drum where they're huge, and if they're vintage, forget it. It gets really, really expensive. So I was so stoked to have all of these too, the original ones. Another person had told me that it's rare to find a kit with this close serial numbers, this is the case. I mean, it came together like this, so that's awesome. But the guy, I was a little, not annoyed or anything, but somebody had put for understandable reasons, see the spur right there? This thing? Somebody had put new ones on. And I looked at that and was like, please tell me that you didn't drill new holes for that. Please, please, for the love of God. And the guy said no. So I was like, oh, thank you. And so he did put like a wooden plate back on, like right here, because he didn't have one. But I'm going to take them off. I found the original ones, the original Spurs. And so the 3 holes are going to fit right in there. If he was honest, they should go right in, no problem. These are the original Tama Spurs that go with the kit, 1982. Now, what's so awesome? I mean, yeah, first of all, these Spurs, when you see the drum set and it's in place, the Spurs don't work right. The angle is they're too low. So what happens when you don't understand Spurs, the only way it works is looking forward like this. When today, the Spurs at the right angle, they are like this. So it wouldn't have worked anyway. But I didn't want that. I didn't want that. But looking at this thing, yet another thing that's just so awesome about old school hardware, and people will bust on vintage stuff a lot and say like, oh, it's vintage, it's not as strong. You couldn't be further. When you know what you're doing and you know what to buy, you couldn't be further from the truth saying that. This spur, this is like, I mean, the metal is the strongest, most dense, metal spur I've ever seen in my life, actually. I was born in 1980, so I saw a lot of drums in the 90s, and then, and then every once in a while I get to see old ones, but this one is, I mean, it's indestructible. This is like, it would hurt me if I flick it. As opposed to my Premier Janissa spur, which functions really well, but it's much more flimsy. It's hollow on the inside, and the tube comes in and comes out. And actually, those spurs, the Premier Janissas, are one of the more solid ones. I actually like to the idea that the best kind, in my opinion, is the nut that compresses over top, like a clamp, over top of a bar that turns. And that way, I mean, everything is replaceable and nothing gets de-threaded, nothing gets stripped out. And if it does, you can always take that nut out and change it. The bolt, I'm sorry. Sono does that. And now new drum sets are starting to understand that they're doing it. But this thing is, like, it's indestructible. It's better than the modern ones I'm going to take off. So that idea of, like, modern new drum sets are more durable than old ones, that's not true at all. If you know the old ones that are the good ones, they're unbelievably durable. I mean, the idea of filling this up here, this is like some kind of thick coating over top of the wood. It's not done anymore, because nowadays drummers, with the advertisements, they're all geared towards the fact that it's exotic wood and you want to see the wood. To paint the inside of a drum today would be crazy. People would not people would think that it's crappy, that it's a beginner model or something, unless it was advertised as like old school, you know, old school way. But the fact that this is makes it unbelievably indestructible and great for humidity and temperature change and all that stuff. So and it adds to a fat sound actually. Rogers has that gray, you know, paint inside. I'm trying to think of other drum sets. It was a customary thing to do that back then, to seal the inside of that drum. Anyway, so I'm going to take these off, and I think I'll pause, take them off, and then unpause. Be right back. And there you go. That's it. It's got like a modern, what was that, like Art Deco, I guess? No. Like that movie, Great Gatsby movie with Leonardo DiCaprio. Anyway, it kind of looks like, it's interesting, the shape of this kind of resembles the old Ludwig style badge in a way. I dig that shape, I like it. But these ones, I mean, it's just super on. Now, I will tell you a little secret. I can't stand this head. This is another discussion I'm going to have here in a second. The guy did drill holes. I swear to God. People that you can see where people don't have the appreciation of the drum when that happens. They look at it as practical reasons. So I'm just going to do this and destroy the history and the purpose. They don't trust the manufacturer, or they think they know better, and they drill holes in drums. And it's kind of heartbreaking if you're somebody like me that you know, sees that happen. But at the same time, it would also be heartbreaking for me to throw it away or discredit the drum's potential because of that. Hold on one second. All right. So, a lot of packages today. Yeah, so I was talking about the, you know, people that poke the holes in the drums. Oh, and that it would be even more of a tragedy to then think that I should throw it away, you know, or I shouldn't use it. I mean, it's not even, you know, put this down for a second. There's a big community of drummers out there that think, here are the old Spurs, right? If you want old Spurs, I got them for sale now. There's a big community out there of drummers that think that in drum shops, and celebrities, you know, that would orphan these drums, you know, because they have an extra hole in them. And yeah, it breaks my heart that they did that. The guy said he didn't, but that's what happens when you buy used stuff. There's one on each. You can't see them once you put everything in place. So I think what I'll probably do is go back and I'll put some glue and seal it up a little bit and just make it, take care of it a little bit. But it's no problem. It does not at all affect the sound of the drum. It's more for the history and the discussion's sake, you know. But getting to this major point I want to talk, it's inspired me to talk about, is there are people that would orphan this drum and would just say, no, we can't have this. It's not going to sound as good. There's extra holes, da, da, da. It's been modified, da, da, da. And that's a tragedy to me as well, because it's like saying you can't play a cracked cymbal or repaired cracked cymbal. I'm not of that mentality. If it sounds good, I'm going to play it. If it doesn't sound good, even if it's brand new, I'm not going to play it. It's about the sound and my relationship with it that works. But I know a lot of people that would, like I said, orphan the drum or get rid of their cymbals that are cracked instead of fixing them because they don't look good in pictures or because it doesn't look professional and stuff. So I'm not like that. I am so unbelievably just like ready to go with this. I'm gonna have to take it to the studio and play. The second half of this video I want to talk about is the porter hole in a bass drum. And this is a major subject amongst drummers and a heated subject. And I have witnessed it several times all over the internet. The porter hole in a drum serves a few purposes. We're talking about the hole that is in the front bass drum head for a few reasons. The blindingly, how should I say that? The very obvious first reason, if you're an engineer, the reason why that hole is there is to get the sound of the beater head with a microphone in a live setting. The hole is there, they put the mic in there right in the front or even inside. Some engineers will do that, and they'll get the attack of the beater hitting the back head, the batter head, and they'll use that sound for the mix. If you don't have the porter hole, the air hole, the gigantic hole in the front of the bass drum head, you can still do it, obviously, and engineers did it for a long time. But the result, you gotta, I'm not an engineer, but you gotta know what you're doing a little more to get the beater, the attack out of the bass drum more than if you had the hole there. If you just put a microphone in front of a bass drum head without a hole, it's going to sound really boom, 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 boomy, and you're not going to hear that sound as much. So companies have since then really, made this a standard where the bass drum heads have holes in them, porter holes they're called. And in the 80s, they went through a kind of a trend where they had a huge porter hole like this one does in the front here, like this, right? So essentially, that's another story, but there's a huge hole. And what is that? Why? That brings me to the next reason why there's those porter holes. So obviously there's the one for the microphone, right? The second major subject about those holes is the interaction that the drummer has with the bass drum. And I think this might have been discovered as a result of first wanting to do it for the microphone, but I don't know. Who knows? There are probably some buffs out there that think they know that. I don't know. Who cares? Point being is that it does happen. And what is that? When you don't have a hole in the front of the head, the reaction, the compression of the air inside the bass drum is more important, more intense. And so the beater, when it hits the batter head, the air doesn't have a place to go inside the bass drum, hits the resonant head and bounces back. So you get this kind of, not a vibration, but this bounce, serious bounce in the bass drum from the beater. And some people, I think they call it flutter, where the bass drum beater goes, because of the bounce. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about just the relationship that you will feel when you play the beater, the bass drum pedal, you hit and the beater will bounce back because the air inside the bass drum, it doesn't go out the porter hole, and instead it just is, the tension is just determined, the bounce, is just determined by how much the front head is tightened or not, and so drummers enjoy that feeling, and some drummers don't. Now this is a dilemma for me, because I enjoy that feeling too. It's a nice interaction, to have the beater come back, you really feel the advantages is that on top of the spring, which is why it's there to bring the beater back after you hit, you get this real interaction in the bass drum instead of a mechanical interaction. You know, the spring is there to help the beater back. But if you don't have the spring and you don't have a porter hole, the beater will come back. See? And that's a real interaction that I dig. And you only understand that when you play it and you experience it for real. You need a certain depth of a bass drum to have that response, the timing work properly. If the bass drum is too deep, it just won't rebound the same way. And you'll feel the deeper the bass drum or the bigger the porter hole, you'll feel let's say the longer the beater will stay on the head. It's exactly the same thing as a snare drum in another video I posted up. When you loosen up the resonant head of a snare drum, the stick will stay longer on the top head than if you tighten it. It's the same thing. So I like to find a spot where it's not going to rebound like I'm hitting a piece of marble or a Phalum head. But at the same time, it's not going to get buried in the head where I can't get any response to do rolls or double hits, you know, stuff like that. So the question then is, you know, what do you do? How do I get the response that I like with the sound that I like that's going to make it easier for the engineers to work with? And some people will say, you know, if an engineer can't mic one without a porter hole, they need to get a new job. So, okay, fine, you can be arrogant like that, but I'm not in that business. I'm trying not to be in that business. I'm trying to you know, I like it when everybody's happy with the stuff. Anyway, so I'm trying to find out the best way for me, and because ultimately, actually, when the porter hole is there, you can get a very good sound out of the bass drum. That's a fact. You can get a good sound more easily than if the porter hole wasn't there. Now, some people will take a mic and mic the batter head, in addition to, or just the batter head, to get the batter sound, right? I don't know. All I know is that you're definitely not going to get a worse sound with the porter hole there from a microphone. And this is why it has become a standard, because the industry has recognized that in almost 99.9 cases, you're going to get a better sound. You're going to have more flexibility with what you can do with that sound. Because you will have not just the sound and not just the plak sound, but you'll have both of them, as opposed to if you didn't have the porter hole, you know? So anyway, so what do? So as I was working with this question, I cut a bigger porter hole in this front head. That's how that head the porter hole got to be very big, because I wanted to see what it would sound like. I know what it's going to feel like. The bigger porter hole is going to, I know what it's going to feel like. The bigger porter hole is going to, especially in the center, like you see Stuart Copeland doing, what it means is as soon as the beater hits the head on the batter side, it's going to want to get buried into the head, because it's not going to encounter a direct opposition to the air that I'm, punching, or whatever you want to say, on that head like this, and it's just going to go out of the bass drum. So it's not going to do this inside the bass drum. So that beater's just going to go plah, and it's going to be a very splat sound, a very splat, not flat, because there's the boom. So it's very a splat sound, which is super cool, actually, and you hear that a lot with Stuart Copeland. It's good with a lot of that kind of splat sound. Works really, really, really well in live situations, where the room is not too small, because it's very loud. It's very loud, and you can get a deeper sound, from my experience, with that, more easily. But it's very loud, and you have to muffle it properly. If you're in a small room, you have to muffle it properly if you have a very big portal hole, because like it just could be very loud. The attack is what's very, very prominent and present. If you don't have that hole in a small room, it works very well. You can have the presence of the bass drum there without overwhelming the audience. So ideally, you kind of want to have both, the best of both worlds, both options. But the more I'm thinking, I actually like that splat sound, and I'm just gonna have to be careful with how I muffle it and set it up in live situations depending on the room I'm in. But I'm very ready, getting very comfortable with the idea of putting a very large portal hole in the front of the bass drum, which I know a lot of drummers will be like, what are you, that's so, no, but when I like that, and that's what this is all about, I guess, regardless what do you like? And that, I'm going to dig that. I think no matter what, I'm going to get two. I'm going to get, actually, my phone is on I got a Remo, what did I get? A Remo, I should pause this and talk about that too. I'm going to pause this. All right, so I had to readjust everything. My camera was on the box that was filming me, so then I put it on the chair. This is one of the new bass drum heads that I got. It has like a regulator ply here. It's a Power Stroke 3, a P3 head. And what's cool about this one is it's Remo's Encore series, and I don't know if they're doing that in the States or not, but we're in Europe here. I'm in Paris, and I can get these for a really good deal. On some sites, it's interesting. Some sites, they say that it's the more performant head of Remo. I don't know, but there's a difference. The Encore series, and I was wondering about this, the Encore series has, the process of this head is different than the regular Remos. The process is what I think Attack drum heads has a patent on in America. I wonder if they have the patent on in internationally. I guess not. So Remo must be doing these outside of the patent scope that Attack has. Or I don't know if Attack is still around anymore, but anyway, Attack heads don't use glue on the rim. The head comes in and then it's basically crimped into, a special kind of process where they grab a hold of the ply, and it goes in, it follows a kind of, thing inside there, and they crimp it. And it's supposed to add performance, durability, tuning capabilities that when you use glue, it's not as good. And I have seen heads that the glue after a while, breaks. It unglues itself, or if you go too much. I don't know. We'll see. But on a bass drum head, it's never going to happen to me. Anyway, I doubt it unless I get into some major band, rock band. Anyway. So this is a Remo Encore head, and it just looks like this. Here, that's see? Encore. P3, Power Stroke 3. So I thought I had bought this as a coated, but it's okay. Here's the thing. I have this one. I have that one. There's a white one that's the same thing as this, same concept, but it's white, it's coated. And I'm going to buy one more. So one of these I'm going to put a giant hole in, and the other one I'm not. And I'm not sure, some people would say put the hole in the white one instead of this one, or put the hole in this one. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. I haven't decided yet what I should do. Should I put the hole in the clear one? Should I use the clear one as the batter side and put the hole in the white one and get another white one? I don't know. I noticed that a lot of the older kits they have the black dot on the front head. It's not a black dot actually. It's a silver head. I'm sorry, a silver dot. Ludwig did it. Tama did it. I don't know if Rogers did it. Anyway, Ludwig and Tama certainly did it. There was a silver dot. And that looks really cool. It's really, really nice. I really dig that, actually. A silver dot on a transparent head. That's what I saw. And it looks really, really good. It looked like a drum, It looked really good. Because the silver matches up with the chrome on the shell. So I don't know what I'm going to do. If I cut a hole in this one... I'm so undecided. One of these is going to have a hole. I guess what I'm trying to think of is which one am I going to use all the time. I don't know. I really don't know. I have to sit and think about this. But anyway, there you go. So this is a Remo Encore P3 head. So it's not glued, right? It's just wrapped around. And they have a it's the Brazilian, made in Brazil, coated white single ply with the regulator ply, which it looks like it's that Contemporarian company. When you're over here, there's a lot of stuff that comes from Brazil and Germany, and it's not just Remo. We can get Aquarians, we can get Remos. You can't get really attacks. I haven't seen any attacks over here. There's some other off-brands that are cool, but, So there you go. More news soon. If anybody needs Spurs, I got them. I'll give them to you for $20. Plus shipping, whatever that is, wherever you're at. And moving on. I have... no, that's it. I don't want to waste any more of your time. So everybody have a good day. I would normally be in lessons, but my wife got the COVID, so I'm a contact case. I have like a case, because I'm close to her. I need to go take a test to see if I have it, but that prevents me from working today, which is really a bummer because I wanted to go see my students and hear them play and play along with them. So anyway, hopefully tomorrow. So ciao to everybody. Have a good day. Happy drumming and stay safe.